And there is absolutely no delay. Here we go. Welcome to Virtually Connecting from Belgium with Teresa McKinnon. Can you start from your site?
Yeah, sure. So we've got quite a packed room in a corner of a room. So I'm going to start over here with our keynote speaker. Could we just introduce ourselves briefly and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay. So my name is Jan Eelen. I'm a professor at the nearby university, the sister university, or the Flemish-speaking university in educational sciences.
Thank you.
My name is Marta Giral, and I work in Limerick, in Ireland, in the University of Limerick, and I'm a lecturer in Spanish and applied linguistics.
My name is Patrick Bonsul, and I work at the University of Copenhagen, and I'm here because, well, I can say now, we're hosting next year's Eurocore conference.
Yay!
Hello, my name is Fanny Meunier. I'm this year's Eurocore conference organizer with the whole team, not just me. And so, hello to everyone.
Hello, my name is Jamie Selwood. I'm an associate professor of English at Hiroshima University in Japan. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm O'Neill Madden. I'm a PhD candidate and I also lecture in English at Université Clermont-Auvergne in France.
So as you see, we've got a full house.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for bringing people together and then sharing these voices out into the world where a lot of people may not be able to get to the conference. So I appreciate the efforts you've gone into. I'm Helen DeWard. I teach here in Central Ontario at a Faculty of Education. So I teach teacher candidates. And my focus, majority of the time, is on media and digital literacies. So there's a nice connect between what you guys are doing and what I'm doing in my small sphere of the world. And we'll turn to Simon.
Okay, my name is Simon Ensor, and like O'Neill, I'm teaching in Clermont-Ferrand in France, and we speak to each other from time to time and also do a bit of research. And we actually are researching pretty much on the same sort of area, which is telecollaboration. Mm-hmm. And my other connection with the people over there is that Teresa is a colleague that I've been working with on the Clavier project for the past, 8 years?
9 years, I think, yeah.
9 years?
9 years.
Oh, we're almost up to a decade. That makes us feel much younger.
So I'm just really interested to hear what's going on at the conference. What are the ahas that are coming out? What's the tone or the direction of conversations?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe I can say a little word on that. So this year we decided to take the idea of complexity into account because we thought that helping people learn languages is complex in itself. There are many things that make up this complexity. So it could either be the background of the learner himself, his personal, I'm tired.
Aptitude.
Yes. Or the complexity of the language that he or she is learning compared to his or her own mother tongue, the complexity of the tools, the complexity of the technology, the complexity of, sometimes political reasons in the country. So it's all that complexity that has to, we all try and do our best to make sure that we can offer something to learners, taking into account all those types of complexity as best as we can. We know that perfection does not exist, but so trying to be able to adapt to the learners in all sorts of ways. So that's what I can say. And for the conference in itself, I think it's going well. The theme has been addressed by many speakers, and I think that the discussions are, as far as I know, and in the sessions I attended, is usually very interesting. And we learn from each other, and that's basically the idea, to share our expertise, to learn, be challenged sometimes, and I think it makes a big difference. And the coffee breaks are good.
The food is excellent.
Okay, Teresa is saying, and the weather's not too bad, so we can't really complain.
Absolutely not. Shall we turn to our keynote speaker, because he's very bravely come and joined us before the keynote, and see if he can give us a sneaky preview.
I hope I cannot do that in 2 minutes.
No.
So I was asked to say something about the relationship between technology and complex learning. And so, of course, there are different meanings to technology that we can consider, different meanings also to complex learning. And so I will try to give a few frameworks that I hope people can use to think about those issues.
And you mentioned light bulb moments or aha moments. Shall I do a quick...
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody got something you want to share with us that's been a light bulb moment during the conference?
Well, I mean, I suppose for me it was the game that you guys created to walk around town. I did that yesterday with a colleague of mine, and it was good. It was good fun, but I'd never done anything like it before, and the potential to make that a learning tool seems quite extraordinary. How you can sort of embed it within a location, but also, so that for me, I'd not done something like that before. So yeah, that was certainly something I hope to be able to steal and adapt and use later.
It's based on Action Bound, which is a mobile app, and it has the potential for learning. Is great because then people move. It's learning on the go, and
you can make it competitive as well.
Yes, you can make it gaming and competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you liked it.
No, it was very good. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Welcome. We have another keynote speaker.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So we've gone for a very human approach to holding the technology here. Sorry, so I'm hoping to keep this as
I'm not as old as Hello,
Good morning.
Complexity and intelligent tutoring systems, and the idea of getting adaptivity and interactivity into the real world teaching learning.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
And another one of our keynote speakers.
And another one of our keynote speakers, indeed.
And if you're curious for like what is involved in what's called scaling up technology there is a paper that just came out in the annual review of applied linguistics that's open source, so you can just click on it. And it is about the challenges on the one hand involved in scaling up technology, but also the benefits that you will be getting out of collecting data from real-life learners and the various parameters that involve the people, the language, and the learners. So there's a lot of different things to consider that normally we don't. And I've tried to put these into that annual review.
And it's open source, so it's
open access.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. O'Neill, any light bulb moments during your conference? Is this your first time here? Well,
yes.
great.
Right. Not likely because I wasn't able to attend that session yesterday, but generally I can speak for the sessions that I have attended, and I said to my PhD supervisor this morning by email, Professor Anne Fouché, I said that because Simon works along with her as well, that it has been a really enriching moment for me looking at, I'm from computer mediated communication, CMC, and so I've attended a lot of sessions on telecollaboration and pedagogical scenarios and mobile assisted language learning, and it has really opened up my knowledge as to the myriad of things that actually exist under this form of this discipline. And I'm looking forward to the other sessions today and tomorrow as well.
Excellent, great stuff. I'm going to come to Patrick.
Yes, of course. I think what I've been sort of most excited about are all the practical sort of presentations. People that come and present something that they've actually sort of experimented with and sometimes succeeded with and sometimes still struggling with. I spend a lot of my time helping out language teachers sort of create or make their vision come true in terms of including ideas of how to use technology or sort of switching information loads to providing it beforehand online and stuff like that. And oftentimes the ideas are simple, but the solution is complex, right? Because if you want to succeed, you need to prepare. And oftentimes there's a sort of assumption that we can just record it and then it works, or we can just, why don't we just set up a quiz and but there are steps before that, and I've experienced that, and coming here and listening to other people's I won't say struggles, but experience is enlightening and enriching, I think. So I've sought out some of the practical or sort of practically orientated presentations during the conference. And there are many, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned yesterday that Eurocall is one of those rare conferences that is at the interface of theory and practice. And, it's a really nice opportunity for those of us who are practitioners to connect with the theory and to get up to date with, well, my head was aching by the time I'd listened to the keynote yesterday. It was kind of, okay, so when somebody asks me about that, I'll just say, read this. Have you got any questions for us, guys?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Oh, Marta, sorry, light bulb.
Sorry, well, light bulb.
Light bulb.
Light bulb. Well, I suppose for me the light bulb is when I look at the program and I am so interested to go to many of the talks. So that meaning it's a great variety, and as a teacher, I would say I had a lot of inspiration, and it's good before starting the semester. And as a researcher, I saw very interesting papers and findings and future directions. So enjoying it, as you can see.
Good. So we're coming up to our time limit, folks. But Simon, did you have a question?
I have a question, but I'm not sure that we're going to have time to answer it. But my question is the following: to what extent is it possible to have complexity-informed teaching in institutional situations?
Discuss. You have 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I think the question is, on the one hand, if I can start, you can support this type of when complexity informed, the question is, what is it informed about? And so I would say this goes in the direction of adaptivity. So we know that there are institutions, and institutions bring groups of people together, yet adaptivity happens at the individual level. So my solution to this challenge is that we think about, when do people prepare, and there are so-called, in task-based learning, so-called pre-task activities. And we could also, in the old school, we said homework. And so these are individual times when people practice. And if you look at Robert de Keyser's work, for example, practice is very important to automate language skills, so that then when you want to communicate in class and interact in a functional way, you have the language forms available so that you can actually successfully do it fluently and with enough accuracy so that you actually can sustain and support and reach the goal of a task. So I would say, yes, we can bring the two things together, institutions where groups gather, if we make good use of the individualized work time, which often is called homework or something like that, or afternoon periods in which you can have individualized work. But then we need the technology to provide the scaffolding, because we found out in our one-year study that actually just doing things, time on task, is not a good predictor for learning outcomes if there's not also feedback. There needs to be specific feedback, otherwise homework does not work. And typical homework, therefore, that's on paper does not actually work. So we can use technology to fill that.
Something you said yesterday as well really struck me as a practitioner, which it sort of chimed with the space practice idea that, you know, carrying on, trying ever increasingly more difficult tasks. At some point you fall over.
Diagnose. Exactly. The key thing then is a teacher doesn't have time to diagnose 30 kids, and they teach 25 to 27 hours of teaching in German high schools. So the key thing is the system needs to do diagnosis and then also sequencing of tasks. And then you get adaptivity, and then they come better prepared. They don't become equal, but they're still heterogeneous, but they come better prepared into class, where the institution then brings them a group, and groups are great for talking.
Absolutely.
To that, is that you basically need the institution to reach the goals. And because of course you can do certain things in one course or in one part, but if there's no continuity, that's a waste of time. And so you need an institution to come to an agreement on, okay, this is what we actually want to do.
That's very important. Yeah. Such compliment.
You need timing as well, because the problem with institutions is when the politics gets involved and when you have a change of people who are running the institute, and you know, so time you always have less time than you actually need. Is always the biggest frustration that I have with anything connected to that, and that's not through anyone's sort of designs of not liking what we're doing. It's just the practicality of what happens with administration. So.
The exciting thing is that we're all talking together about these problems, and I think one thing that you pointed out yesterday was that, you know, solutions don't come from any one place.
And with the time, what's really important there is that also individual differences have so much impact on time. Some kids, you know, typing speed, the background they have. So some kids will not have to spend a lot of time on their homework. Other kids will do a lot. And how do you enable teachers to orchestrate a process where they cannot themselves do the diagnostic things first? And the answer is technology needs to step in to take that part. And then exactly like you say, make clear that we're not replacing teachers, but we're allowing teachers to do what they do best, namely to interact, using language to provide implicit feedback and so on, input, but to better inform students.
Teachers are always the conduit.
Yeah,
that's the main conduit, and as I say, we're grateful we can use technology to help us. But as you say, we still need to have qualified.
And another thing I think which is important is to fight simplistic discourse, because sometimes we have people saying, oh, but yes, but there's a technology there, and you know it's all out there, and they will learn. But no, it's not just out there and they will learn. So we have to fight simplistic discourse and saying, okay, but there are computers, and we have to make people aware of the technology, accept it, and also accept the fact that we won't solve all the problems, but that we can, as you said, really improve and make sure that everyone's expertise is used for the best things, and that the time is well spent and not wasted. Yeah.
So how do you feel about our answers, Simon?
Well, I'm trying to find the word. I'm encouraged.
Okay, well, encouraged is a good word. We wanted a positive adjective at that point.
The next question, of course, is how do we get your voices and your knowledge into the institutions so that there are choices which are informed, which can be made? Because I think one of the greatest problems is that in institutions, the people that make choices are often not informed pedagogically whatsoever, in terms of technology procurement, technology use, etc.
The thing is that technology procurement shouldn't be at the forefront of discussion. So in Germany, I've been having, certainly the last years, the reason I didn't go much to Calico was I was hanging out with these people in the ministries and so on. And on Tuesday, I have another meeting with the CEO of one of these publishing companies in Germany. And what they want to hear is, does it improve learning outcomes? When you go to the Minister of Education of Baden-Württemberg, what I told them is, using this type of, instead of paper homework, if you use a tutoring system, allow me to do it in all 7th grade classes in Germany. I've done it in 15 classes, and the kids improve 56% just by, not the difference technology or not, but by technology. Both use technology, and only one group, it was within class randomization, one group gets specific feedback, the other just gets true, false, and meaning feedback. And specific feedback improves the kids' scores by 56%. And that's dramatic, the effect size of 0.62. So that basically, and then they say, oh, despite all the differences in the class and in schools, it makes that much difference. How much does it cost? And that's the problem right now, that German kids per year, per kid, they spend 43 euros only on materials. In the Netherlands, 350, much better. And for 43 euros, you cannot afford anything that any company would do. So the CEO guys always tell me, the publishing companies, they say there's no money in the market. And so one thing we need to lobby is, it's better, and we need to prove it first, and it's worth investing money in.
But these are human problems, aren't they? And they're messy problems, so it's complicated, hence the complexity theme. I'm aware that these guys need to have lunch.
Yes, thank you so much, Teresa,
Helen,
for
sorry.
pulling. Thank you so much for pulling everything together. I'm just going to stop recording just so that we can allow people to step up and move out of the room as you need to. Thank you again so much for the conversation.
Thank you.